Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here at Business First Wednesdays, our partnership with the Small Business Development Center. Today, we're going to be talking about jumping off right, starting up your business, and discussing a lot of great resources that are available to you as business owners. Please keep yourselves muted and put any questions into the chat. Before we get started and I hand it on over to the SBDC, is anyone here from outside of the greater Rochester area? You can put it in the chat if you're from far and away. Nobody? Okay. Oh, Fort Worth, Maxwell. Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Wow.
That's super cool. You probably have nicer weather than we do. So anyway, and yes, you will be emailed a link to the presentation for our YouTube channel as well as the slides. So please look for that. Oh, 61 degrees. Yes. Aren't you fortunate, Maxwell? Okay. I'm going to introduce Gina Mangiamelli. Gina, take it away.
Thank you. Have you shared my screen?
Not yet. I can do that.
That would help.
Hold on 1 second. Yes, it would, wouldn't it? No, hold on. That's not what I need. There we go. You should be all set.
Super. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first Wednesday presentation. In case you didn't know, this week, the entire week from May 1st to May 7th is U.S. National Small Business Week. So this program is in honor of all the entrepreneurs who take the plunge and jump off into a business. And we thought it would be apropos during this week to give some resources and talk about the right way and the wrong way to get started. Thus, the title of the program, Jumping Off Right, What to Know and How to Approach Your Small Business. So today's agenda, what we're going to talk about is describing what we're talking about in terms of jumping off right, understanding what you're asking of yourself and your family members, vetting your business concept, launching a business or launching a concept based on a STAR format. And you'll see what that's about as we get there. We've also identified some of the top 10 business resource partners that you should have in your notebook so that you know who to contact, because these are the best places to get started. And then we're going to talk a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit about proper preparation for funding and some of the financial issues out there. There's also working through the startup checklist. You know, a lot of people don't sit down and create that checklist, but we have some topics that we think you should include. And then talking about structuring your timeline for launch. This is something that I think is really important because usually the expectation is way sooner than what's possible. So let's begin with talking about what it is when you come up with an idea and you want to start a business around that idea. I ask people to ask this question: what are you asking of your family and yourself? Because in most cases, after doing this, and I've had over 2,400 clients. I started with the SBDC in 1992. So it's been a long time that I've had an affiliation with the organization. And I think that it's really important to take a look at, you know, what you should be thinking about before you dive into getting a business started. A lot of people say, oh, I want to work for myself. I don't want to work for anybody else. I can control my own hours and so on and so forth. So the things you should be asking is the concept in an area that is unfamiliar territory? You know, I'm asking myself to delve into something maybe I don't know a lot about. Maybe I've had a little bit of experience, but what's your acumen? Are you going to need to seek some training to be successful in this type of business? Have you set a goal? Are you going to work towards that goal? Are you aware that you could be working up to 80 to 90 hours a week to get this started? It really is a very, very intensive activity to start a business. And that means that talking to your family members, like your wife or your husband, who needs to be on board, because you're going to need their support in the household and maybe in some other areas as you get going. So everybody has to be on board. It's good to run this by all the family members. Be ready for challenges and roadblocks that, ask yourself, am I able to handle ambiguity? Can I handle challenges that come down the road? Can I dispel expectations and handle those challenges? That's really important question. And would you be willing to know when it's time to recognize that maybe this is not a good idea? In working with entrepreneurs, one of the things that I consider a success is when I talk through a business concept with a client and we get to know that this really isn't a good idea. Okay, so ask yourself these questions before you even jump off doing anything. And now my screen is not changing. John, I'm having a little difficulty here. As soon as the shared screen came up, I can't move to the next screen. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, you're enabled to share, so let's see. If you go to the share screen, the green button, click on that.
Yeah.
And then you'll see all the windows that you have open. There you go.
All right. Okay, so let's start this. Let's see. Slideshow. All right, let me see if there we go. Okay, so I've talked about the first 3 slides. The next one is now that we've talked about what you're asking of yourself, the next question is vetting your business concept. So when you think about starting a business, we need to go through a vetting process to really understand, whether there's something here that you can work with. So you have to answer 3 questions. And I ask all my clients these questions. Who wants what you're offering? Why do they want it? And why do they want it from you? It's really one of those things that I want to start a coffee shop. Well, how many are there? Are you offering something different? Why would people come to you versus someone else? Who wants it? Why do they want it? So these are 3 questions that you have to really do some soul searching with to make sure that you've got a mix, something that is going to be filling an industry gap or offering something that is needed in the consumer space. So when we think about this, I think it's important to know that if you've gone through and asked yourself these questions, you've got a really good concept, who wants it, where you're headed with this. And in some cases, and I got to tell you, like I said, I started with the SBDC in 1992. And in all of those cases, I typically see the light bulb go on. Oh, I got this great business idea. I'm going to get my DBA. I'm going to buy some business cards. I'm going to go sign a lease for some space. And then there's no planning. It's all right here. When I ask the question, have you written a business plan? Have you really sketched this out? Do we at least have a business model canvas to look at? You go, oh yeah, it's all right here. It's all in my head. That's great, except when you write things out, it flushes out a lot of the questions that need to happen. So when you're starting out to really vet some kind of a business idea, the right way to do this is to start with researching and investigating, making sure that you've got the marketing research. Do you know the demographics? Have you seen an industry gap? What have you identified? Did you see that there's something in there that isn't quite right? And what resources, seeking out your resources. And I recommend that folks get a huge notebook and you start filling that notebook up with this information, sketching out your ideas for the concept, beginning to describe it, working through some numbers in pre-budgeting, okay? Going on the internet and looking for resources, getting to networking groups, finding resources, and then just identifying your path forward. It's not a good idea to just jump in with both feet without some of this planning, because it really is essential to your success. And the old cliche, I'm sure we've all heard it before, no business plans to fail, they simply fail to plan. So I like to take an approach. I call this the STAR approach. It actually, I'm borrowing some of this from my days at the Simon School. And STAR stands for Situation, Task, Action, and Resources, okay? Beginning with an assessment, we'll use this STAR acronym to really model these first steps to jump off right, to really get started in the right direction. So S is for situation. What led you to think about starting a business? Was it that you literally found something that wasn't being addressed in the consumer markets today? Did you notice something missing, or did you find something that is really a lousy product and you could make it better? You know, the old build a better mousetrap. Did you see an industry gap that needed to be filled? Did you identify something that you could do better? You know, so these identifying the situation so that you're clear about where you're headed is really important. Then task completed. So what have you done so far? You've thought about it. Maybe you've talked with your family. Maybe you have something written on the back of a napkin that you shared with someone over a kitchen table. You know, take an inventory of where am I in this process? And then, you know, ask the question, have you started your business plan? You know, have you identified based on your assets? So the first question I like to ask too is, what do you stand to lose? So if this takes off and you do it, and then something goes terribly wrong, could you lose your house? Could you lose your family, your car, bank accounts? You know, you really have to think about these things. So figuring out what entity is going to be very important. Is that a task that you've already done? So where are you right now? Then the action steps are, what are the next right steps that need to be taken? What have you identified the list of things that need to be completed before you can launch? And in a big part of that, next right steps is seeking out R for resources. What resources will you need to get those steps completed? So let's talk about resources. And that's what we really want you to walk away with today, is to understand resources that you may not know exist. And I know I'm still learning about resources that I can share with my clients, and they're on all levels of the world that we live in. Small business resources are on the federal government level, the state government level, your county and city level, online resources, and people resources. There are so many ways to get information and put the time and the work in to find out what you really need to know. So let's look at what I've chosen as the top 10 resources for small business that can help you get started to jump off right in the right direction. And the first one that I like to go to is our United States Small Business Administration. They sponsor the SBDC program and other programs. So if you go to sba.gov/business guide, they have a wonderful online resource there that will help you with some information and guidelines for getting your business started. The U.S. Small Business Administration does many things to help small businesses, sponsoring programs like the SBDC, offering some type of guarantee for lenders to help protect the depositors a bit, so that when they do a loan and it's a startup and it's kind of risky, the SBA can step in and provide like an 80 or 90% guarantee to make sure that the bank would remain solvent should something go wrong and they couldn't repay the loan. So I would encourage you to really seek out that business guide. It's really got some wonderful things there, and lots of information that you could probably print off as well. The second resource, and this might be a dirty word after April 15th today, but the Internal Revenue Service has some wonderful business guides related to taxation and so on, you know, things like self-employment tax. And they actually have a video library at irsvideo.gov, which has some really great vignettes of information that will help you. Because most of us, when we think about, oh, how do I file my self-employment tax? Should I be filing a Schedule C or an 1120? There's income that's going to need to be reported to the IRS. And so this irsvideo.gov has some great resources in there as well. Now, I mentioned that the U.S. Small Business Administration is part of the funding that we get here at the Small Business Development Center, but there's also a resource called americassbdc.org, resource number 3 here. And that is the association of all SBDCs. So if someone moves, let's say from New York to Florida, and they want to start a business in Florida, you can go to the ASBDC website and click on Find My SBDC. And you put in a zip code and they'll show you all the guidelines. Now, this has been a very prominent site that I've used recently because I've had a lot of people that have moved from New York to Texas, to Florida, to South Carolina. And they ask the question, you know, is there an SBDC down there too? Yes. And the ASBDC not only has resources on their site, but they also do workshops and they can help you find the local closest SBDC. In fact, sometimes when we get a request for counseling here, we had one from Michigan. I don't know how they ended up here, but I was able to go on this site, find out based on his zip code, and connect him with the SBDC closest to him. So it's a very nice resource there. So those are kind of the federal levels, taking a look at New York State. So our funding, yes, for SBDC starts with SBA, and we get funding also from New York State. So resource number 4 is your New York State Small Business Development Centers. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we do here. And the SUNY Brockport SBDC is only one of 22 sites, centers in New York State. We have them all over, covering every county in New York. And we have a tight network of 213 certified business advisors and staff members who are here to help you. So, you know, there's very often a time when I need resources beyond just our center, and I can ask all of our 213 advisors, I can ask a question. We had one come up yesterday about fresh cut flowers. Does the Department of Agriculture require a permit or some type of license or certification to sell fresh cut flowers? I put that out yesterday. This morning on my inbox, I had 4 different responses from people who've dealt with this that are advisors in other centers, giving me the answers that I need. So the best part about SBDC is we're not only just the SUNY Brockport Center, but 22 centers with advisors, with information, backgrounds, and all kinds of things that we help with, you know, helping you to develop your business plan, helping you with financials and getting your forecasting done. We have marketing research capabilities with our professional research librarians who we can request information for. And, you know, they send us information back for our clients to use. It's really, I mean, my most recent was a campground that's going up in Pavilion. I needed lots of information. Our professional business marketing librarians were able to give me so much information and get reports and data that you typically cannot get through just a Google search. So things like the RV Association annual report, where you typically have to be a member in order to get that, they were able to get that for me, for my clients. So SBDC has a lot of resources, publications. We do these webinars. So that should be on your list of resources that you should be using. Next, another incredible resource that we have right here in Monroe County is the Monroe County Library System and the Central Library and the Business Insights Center. And Jennifer Byrne, who is head of the Business Insights Center, is going to give you a little background on what they do there and how they can help you. Take it away, Jen.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. So first off, everything that we do is free. And we serve anyone, regardless of your geographic location. And all of our services are free and confidential. So some of the things that we can do for you, you know, Gina had mentioned, what's, how many, if you want to start a business, how many of these businesses already exist? We can provide you with the information of, how many types of these businesses are within a specific radius, are there already 10 coffee shops within a 5-mile radius, is there really space for your business right there? We can provide you with industry surveys. looking at, the overall trends, what the industry is going to be doing, 2-5 years down the line. Is it still going to be, is the annual growth, is it still growing or is it shrinking? Also things like identifying your local competition and identifying potential clients. So we can, if you sell to a certain type of business, we can generate a list of all of those types of businesses for you. Again, whether that's national or within a specific geographic area. We also can provide you with specific reports that are most likely you aren't able to afford as a small business. These reports can cost anywhere from $1,000 to $6,000, and we provide those to you at no cost. My colleague Kate Meta is on here, and she's going to tell you about the Carlson Center for Intellectual Property very briefly. So for any of you that have patents or trademarks or copyright, Kate, are you with us?
I am.
Yay.
Can you see me?
I can.
Good morning, everybody. As Jen mentioned, I'm Kate Meta. I'm the manager of the Carlson Center for Intellectual Property. So I can do some research for you if you're interested in patents or trademarks and copyrights. Patents are generally granted for anything that's new and novel if it has a utility or function. There's also design patents, which protect the look and the feel of something. And then there are plant patents, which protect asexually reproduced plants, which can include cannabis plants. For trademarks, if you're interested in protecting the name of your company, the name of a product or service, you'd want to get a trademark for that to distinguish your good or service from those like it in the marketplace. And we have to do searching to be sure that you're not infringing upon someone else's trademarks rights. And then copyrights, that's intellectual property granted for things like poetry, music, lyrics, sculptures, design elements, dance, those kinds of things. So as Jen mentioned again, everything that we do is free. It is confidential, but I would strongly recommend that you get in touch with us before you spend money with an attorney to do any intellectual property searching for you. I can get you up to the point of granting you a freedom to operate search. So I can get you a lot of the preliminary comprehensive research done that would save you a ton of money if you had an attorney do it. So I look forward to working with you, and certainly we're available by Zoom or to meet in person, whatever is best for you.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add, Gina had mentioned, do you have a business plan? So a lot of people don't, they don't know what that looks like. So we have sample business plans that we can provide you. So you get a sense of what information needs to be included and what does not need to be included. It shouldn't be War and Peace length, Russian novel length. It's, people actually have to read these things and they don't want to spend, all day doing that. So, also, resources like, do you need like a basic introduction to record keeping or accounting? And lastly, all of our programs are on our YouTube channel. So if you can't make it to any of our regularly offered programs, which include Business First Wednesdays, as well as the Cannabis Industry Meetup, you can watch those at your convenience on our YouTube channel.
That's great. Jen, they can email you as well, right?
Oh yeah, they can email us. We put in our link to if you'd like to schedule an appointment with us. So whatever's easiest, email us, fill out the form, just give us a call, and we're here. We just ask that you don't show up. We are not always here. We are by appointment only. So if you just show up here, we're happy to see your lovely faces, but we may not actually be here. So please give us a call first.
That's great. This is one of the most valuable resources that we have in our region. It is just incredible, the kinds of things, not to mention publications and books that you can take out. It's just a resource that I would put right at the top and leverage this as much as possible, especially when it comes to intellectual property, because that is an expensive attorney fee to just show up to make an appointment with an attorney and sit down and say, I need a trademark. And you can get a federal registration trademark. You can also get one on a state level as well. So the department can certainly help you. Kate can certainly talk with you about what those options are. Fantastic. Thank you so much, ladies. Appreciate those comments. Next, our next resource is the Rochester Financial Empowerment Center, which I have to admit, I only just learned about this a few months ago. I was not aware, because one of the stumbling blocks that we run into with our clients is when they don't have a good credit score or they've never checked their credit report. And how do I fix that and what kinds of services? So we have Mina Hatami. Did I say that right, Mina?
You got it.
So thank you for that. And I'd like to introduce Mina, who will talk about the Rochester Financial Empowerment Center.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mina Hatami. I'm in Rochester, and I'm the program manager of Rochester Financial Empowerment Center. For short, we call it FEC. First of all, thank you so much for sitting here because as I was looking at your faces, I thought it's hard not to interact. So I hope you're not bored. Just wave your hand. Let me know that you're listening. Perfect, that you're with us. All right. So the part of the business, the thing that the business people have in common, and I used to be one of them, is that usually we have a big heart, we have a passion, we take risk, and we want to do a lot of wonderful things. There is an invisible side of the business, and that is the person of the entrepreneur, the person that wants to do all of these things. Away from business plan and everything, that person pays rent, as Gina mentioned, has a family, has financial struggles, and sometimes they neglect that part because they are so gang-ho and they want to get their business going. That's when we come in. So Rochester Financial Empowerment Center started about 2.5 years ago. It's a city program and it's being administered by CCCS of Rochester. What we do, we offer free one-on-one financial counseling as long as person needs it. This financial counseling is on the personal side, and that's when the entrepreneurs come in. A lot of time we ask our passionate business owners and entrepreneurs to say, let's sit down and take a look at your personal side of it, because that's the foundation of the future business you want to build. Let's get a checkup. Let's do a financial checkup to see where you are. What are the pitfalls? Because these pitfalls, if you don't pay attention to them right now, 6 months later, it's going to come back and hurt you and your business. So the areas that we cover in this financial counseling is how to improve your credit score, as Gina mentioned. If someone doesn't have any credit, how to help you establish credit and improve it, how to reduce your debt, how to improve your saving. What about if somebody doesn't have a bank account? What if at one point in your life you wrote a bad check to M&T, and now in any bank you walk in, they know what you've done. We all have check system. So no, they don't give you a checking account. We help you with situations like that. And then of course, then we connect our entrepreneurs to business resources, as Gina was mentioning. So we have many partners throughout the county that we refer people to, the legal aspect of it, the professional aspect of it, as far as business plan and things like that. But the bottom line is, we make sure that the future big-hearted entrepreneur has his personal side on the right place. They don't have things that is going to come back and hurt them later on, that they are not borrowing against something they don't have. Maybe they can wait a little bit, they can wait 6 months, create some saving, establish some discipline, have budgets to know that actually I can save a little bit, I can stop spending money on eating out and coffee and things like that, because my bigger goal is to create my business, to sacrifice the small goals for the bigger goal. So this is the almost, I would say, sometimes emotional and financial path that we try to help our entrepreneurs with. And we would love to have any one of you. Our limitation, unfortunately, forgive me, is that we only serve people who live in Monroe County, New York, which is where Rochester resides, because we are mainly funded locally. And the person has to be 18 years old older, because that's when we can help them with their credit score.
Wonderful. Mina, do one thing. Acronyms are always kind of a problem for people. You mentioned CCCS. If you could just describe that.
Absolutely. So Consumer Credit Counseling of Rochester. So they are the organization that do the administration part of Rochester Financial Empowerment Center, because as you know, the cities are not good at financial counseling. But CCCS of Rochester has done financial counseling and debt reduction and helped people with that for the last 50 years. And they do a wonderful job of running this business, running this program.
That's great. I think one of the most important things you mentioned was how to get a habit of savings. Because one of the questions that comes up every time with a new entrepreneur is how much of your own money have you got into the program, into your idea so far? And in many cases, the answer is, well, I don't have any of my money, but I was going to get a grant. If you don't have any skin in the game, you're not real serious about the business that you want to start. And, you know, even if you just, I've known people that have gotten a second job and banked all the money from the second job. I've known people who wanted to start a seamstress business, needed a specialized machine that was about $1,500. They collected every bottle that they could. They did a bottle drive over and over again to get that money so that they could get it into a savings account. Savings is important. Having a behavior of savings is important. And maybe that means we don't stop at Starbucks as often as we did. Maybe we make Dunkin' Donut coffee at home instead of swinging by the store. It is about sacrifice. You trade one thing for another. And this is a concept that a lot of people haven't been brought up with. I was really fortunate. I had a dad that was very consistent about it and disciplined about the way he taught us about money and finance. I was very fortunate. And his saying was, take care of the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. And that's been great advice, because even a 5-cent bottle can be the first step into saving the money you need to get your business started. It may take a year to get the amount that you need, but as long as you focus and finish and pursue and persevere, so many people have accomplished a lot, even with those meager steps. Mina, thank you so much. It's exciting to know about Rochester's Financial Empowerment Center. I think that the work that you do is so important, and we look forward to working with you. So next up, in conjunction with that, we have, maybe you've heard of Kiva Rochester. This is a crowd-funded loan program. And we have Elizabeth Ingham, who's going to tell us about this and help us to understand better how this can be a big plus for starting small businesses.
Awesome. So like Mina said, savings is great. So a push for the FEC, for the financial counselors. I'm actually a client now, because why not? And also to give some statistics about them. They've helped so far in just the past 2 years, they've helped reduce debt in Rochester clients by over $1.2 million.
That's fantastic.
And for a huge chunk of their clients, they've increased savings in their clients by over 1 week of income, which that's like, to me, that's wild. That's absolutely wild. But, you know, as long you're saving, let's say you're saving, right? Even if you have your own money in the game, it really helps to have some outside funding. And if it's all right, I'd love to share a couple slides I have. Let's see. Beautiful. All right. Can you see me now? Beautiful. From the beginning. Lovely. So I'm Elizabeth. I'm with the Kiva Rochester team, and we help you get 0% interest, 0 fee, community-backed small business loans from $1,000 to $15,000. If you take away nothing else, take away that you can start your application at kiva.org/borrow. That is something, one action you could do, right? You can start an application. There you go. And then you kind of get into the system and on our lists. So kiva.org is an online crowdfunded microlender that lends small loans to small businesses. So Kiva has a website, and they have a couple of million people who go online regularly and lend small amounts to small businesses. And when I say small amounts, I mean small amounts. It's like $25 at a time. But when you have a couple million people doing it, that adds up pretty quickly. And because they're loans, not donations, as one entrepreneur repays that money to the lenders then lend it back out to other entrepreneurs. So you have a bunch of lenders who are sitting on Kiva who have $25 sitting in their Kiva accounts looking for the next business to invest in. So I'm hired by the city. So my team, the Kiva Rochester team, is basically, we're your coach. We're here to help you through the process. We talk to Kiva regularly. We're here to advocate. Let's say you submit an application and you've spelled something wrong, right? We don't want Kiva to reject your application just because there's something like a little error, right? We want to make sure. So I'm here to help you be as successful on Kiva as possible, and we try to connect you to other resources like the Business Insight Center, like the FEC, to help support other parts of your business. So Kiva's big thing is that they want to protect their lenders, right? But they also want to keep it at 0% interest. So what they ask is that your community lends to you as well. So usually before your loan goes in front of Kiva's lenders, they ask that you bring a number of people, usually up to 40 people, but that's only for I've only seen one loan need 40 people. So lend you $25 each towards your loan, right? And that's basically a voucher. That's a character reference from your people. It's saying grandma trusts you with $25, so the Kiva community should too. So then we'll quickly look at the timeline. So the application is all online. It can take, if you got all your ducks in a row, it takes an hour. I've seen also some people, they'll start an application, and they'll come back to it 6 months later. That's fine too. Once you submit your application, it comes to my desk first. And then I check over it, make sure it's all looking good, looking as best as it can be. If we have any issues, we'll go back and forth. But then once we send it off to Kiva headquarters, once we think it's ready to go, it can take them 1 to 3 weeks to review. Then we go into that private fundraising period. They'll say how many people you need. So let's say I just did a $9,500 loan, and my entrepreneur needed to bring 8 people to lend them $25 each. So again, that's saying that your community believes in your business. Your community trusts you, right? So once you get your number of people, your loan goes public. So it goes in front of Kiva's lenders around the world, and they fund your loan $25 at a time. And then repayments start a month after you get the loan. So, and then repayments last from 12 to 36 months, just based on loan size. So the minimum requirements are that you're at least 18 years old. You're not currently in bankruptcy or foreclosure. You're not a franchise or multi-level marketing business. They want it to be your business, not someone else's. And that you're operating a legal and socially responsible business. And that's legal both federally and statewide, because the lenders come from all around the country. And this is a program that can be used around the country. They don't allow, any, marijuana products quite yet. All of the money is moved for free by PayPal. So PayPal donates all its services, and they can get in trouble for moving money for things that aren't federally legal. And there is no minimum credit score. So a lot of times Kiva will start you off with a small loan to kind of build credit within the Kiva community. So they want to, maybe if you're a new business, maybe if you're a young entrepreneur, maybe if you don't have an established credit, they want you to apply. They want to see you get a small loan, like $1,000, and do something with it. If your dream is to start a restaurant, you can't start a restaurant with $1,000, but maybe you can help cater one event, or you can do one pop-up shop, something like that. And they want to see you get that loan, repay it, and come back for more. There's no limit on the number of loans you can get. As long as you repay one, you can get another. So I've seen a lot of new businesses use this as their first capital. So so it's the first capital they've ever used. But I've also seen established businesses just come back, because once you get one loan, it's really easy to get another. So they'll come back, they'll get a bigger loan. And So you automatically qualify for at least 2 times your first loan if you pay back entirely on time. Now, we do have a lot of newer businesses, and they sometimes have trouble repaying on time. If you don't repay on time, it doesn't disqualify you from getting another loan, right? You just don't automatically qualify for double, but you still can qualify for another loan. Anyway, so what now? You can start your application at kiva.org/borrow. You can contact the Kiva Rochester team by text or call at the number below, 585-376-0397, or email us at rochester@local.kiva.org. And we're also hanging out on Wednesdays at the Central Library downtown. I'll be there from 1 to 6 p.m. You can just walk up and come and say hi to me. So, yep. So there we go. Any questions?
I think one of the best stories that I've heard you tell before were existing business owners that may have gotten a bank loan for, let's say 100,000, but they needed 115,000. And you were able, because they would get a Kiva loan because it's 0% interest. 0% is 0%.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've had, a lot of people do, or a lot of small businesses, if they can't get other funding, they use Kiva because there is such a low bar of entry. Again, that no minimum credit score, right? You aren't paying money for it. You are putting in work, right? Nothing's free. So, you're using your personal connections to get access to this money. But we've also had established businesses, like we've had a restaurant that needed like 20,000 in renovations. Instead of getting all 20 from the bank, they got 10,000 from us and 10,000 from their bank, because why pay interest on 20,000 when you can pay interest on
Interest
10,000?
free. Yeah.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Thank you, Elizabeth. And I hope all of you were paying attention because it's a great service. And for those people who are not going to be traditional borrowers, this is a great place to build your credit, to get started in behaviors that can lead to, bigger loans down the road. So thank you,
yeah.
Elizabeth. I appreciate you being here.
And I'm going to add just one more thing, is that we've had over 160 businesses in Rochester fund over $930,000,
That's
all in
fantastic.
0% interest, all 0 fee, small business loans. Also, over 50% of our borrowers have been women-owned businesses. Over 75% have been minority-owned businesses. And there's no requirement for anything. It's just like, if something is accessible, people use it.
Elizabeth, we do have a question in the chat. Is Kiva
yeah.
for residents of other counties?
Yes, actually. So I can only spend a certain amount of time. I need to focus on the Rochester area, but if someone wanders into my inbox or calls me, I'll definitely answer. But yes, anyone in basically the US can use it.
It's great. Thank you so much.
Mhm. There
Okay,
are a
good.
couple states that don't allow it, but I think that's like Nevada. So as long as
Okay.
you're not in Nevada, you're good.
Okay, very good. So, we're hearing about great resources, and one more resource is networking organizations and places like Chamber of Commerce. And our disaster advisor, Chris Wiest, is going to talk to us about those opportunities. Chris?
Thanks, Gina. Good morning, everyone. As Gina said, I'm Chris Wiest. Hi, Mina. I saw you wave. I waved back to you. And I'm a disaster relief advisor. I work part-time at SBDC. I also teach in the business school at SUNY Brockport. I teach entrepreneurship. And the reason why Gina asked me to talk a little bit about this subject today is I spent over 23 years working at the Greater Rochester Chamber of Commerce. Retired from there a few years ago. Fantastic organization. And I want to talk a little bit with you today about the importance and benefits of networking, and particularly thinking of chambers and trade organizations as a good tool to add to your toolkit to help you on that. We've talked a little bit about today about the importance of capital, right? The importance of the financial means to be successful in your business. Well, you also have to think about the social capital, right? And that's going to be your network. That's going to be the human resources that you tap for information and expertise that'll help you be successful. During COVID, a lot of us became very accustomed to online and using social media sites, and they can be fantastic. LinkedIn If you haven't set up a LinkedIn account, I would encourage you to do so. That is kind of the professionals' social media forum, and a lot of great information is exchanged there. But Facebook also has some meetup rooms, even Twitter. So there's a variety of different options out there. The challenge, though, is they're online, right? And so there's some things that you can accomplish face to face that you can't easily accomplish through an online medium. And that's where organizations like Chambers shine. They're known very well for the variety of networking events that they host. Greater Rochester Chamber does a bunch of them, ranging from its Rochester Top 100 event every year, which celebrates the fastest growing events in Rochester. There'll be over 1,400 people there. You want to talk about going to an event and being able to network with a lot of other business professionals, there you go. Many chambers also offer speed networking events, and those are meant to be smaller settings where you'll take a bunch of your business cards, you'll sit across from someone else, and in 60 seconds, you deliver your elevator speech. And when I worked at the chamber years back, when we used to do these face-to-face, we'd have a gong. And at the end of 60 seconds, we'd hit the gong, and everyone would then rotate around, and you would leave by the end of that session after an hour and a half or so, you'd have 30 business cards. It was a great way to get to meet a lot of folks and to add these individuals to your networks. So why do you network? Well, you network, of course, to get to understand what other professionals out there may be able to assist and help you. So let's say, for example, you're a small business and you need some help for bookkeeping. Who's out there? Talk to people within your network. Who could be an attorney that might be able to assist you? Who might be a vendor or a supplier that could be someone that you might work with? Again, having a network will allow you to do that, and Chambers can help point you in the right direction there. Networking helps you identify potential customers. Many times Chambers will do trade shows or fairs where you can have a table, and you can put out your wares, you could talk a little bit about what you have to offer, and again, get to meet other individuals. A lot of benefits there as well. Here's probably the most important benefit. It allows you to practice your communication skills. We've all gotten rusty, folks. We're getting used to social media. We've gotten used to texting, but there's no substitution for face-to-face interaction and practicing how well we communicate with others. And that's where, again, a networking event, if you're able to attend and participate in that, is going to give you that opportunity to have those conversations. Well, I'll leave you with one final thought. And I teach this in my entrepreneurship class. When people think of networking, many times they think of networking in terms of hunting. What I mean by that is they think of, I'm going to identify that contact, I'm going to hunt, pursue them, get them, line them up. They're going to get me what I need to be successful in whatever it is I want to do. I'm going to encourage you to think of networking more as farming. Think about it as something that you need to nurture, cultivate relationships, grow, maintain. So at some point down the road, when you do need that help, that individual is available. Think of it more of that nurturing sort of relationship, not hunting, but farming, cultivating those relationships, maintaining your network. Once you build it, make sure you maintain it. Check in with people periodically. Make sure that you have that opportunity to let them know what's going on, learn about them, what they have going. Again, that's where chamber events can be very beneficial. You'll meet up with people that you've seen, maybe you haven't seen them in a while, you walk around, you connect with them, you talk to them, a great opportunity to network. So again, one of the things that we would encourage you today, we're trying to share with you, Gina, and all the speakers today have shared some fantastic resources to help you to be successful. Don't forget about chambers. There's the Greater Rochester Chamber, but there's a bunch of others in the region as well. Greece has a pretty substantial chamber. Ontario County, Genesee County, Livingston County, SBDC, we partner with all of them. They're all fantastic partners and encourage you to look them up. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chris. And Chris, you bring up some really interesting points because maintenance of those cultivated relationships is really critical. And so some might be saying, well, what do you mean maintain? So when I'm genuinely interested in someone, I meet a banker and I have conversations with this person and I find out they have 2 or 3 kids that are in lacrosse, or maybe they're swimmers, or the wife likes to do knitting and fiber arts or whatever. I make a note of those things, including birth dates, if I happen to come across it. And so if I come across an article, let's say on a fiber, crochet thing that's happening in Rochester, I might cut that out and physically mail it. Oh, snail mail? Yes, snail mail, to get something in the mail that says, I remember you mentioning that your wife liked this, wondering if she knew about this conference coming up, thought I'd send it to you. That's a touch. That's a touch. That's me remembering something significant and genuinely, not just because I want to fake my way through, because I genuinely noticed it. I paid attention. I'm sending them this. I send Thanksgiving cards to a lot of the bankers that we do partnerships with that have helped my clients. Not so much just to be in front of them, but genuinely to say, I'm really thankful for the services you provide. You've helped my clients. Happy Thanksgiving. It is a neutral holiday and it's an easy thing to do. So touching base, sending a postcard, when I've been on vacation, I've actually sent postcards to some of the people in my network because there was something relevant about where I was that they would have appreciated. So maintenance is really about staying in touch in a genuine way and communicating in more than just an email. When I was at the Simon School, I was the Associate Director of Counseling and Education for the Career Management Center. And I had many, many students that would go on interviews, and I would always tell them, don't just send them an email. Do not send them an email, thank you for the interview. Do a handwritten thank you note, put it in the mail on the day that you have the interview so that they get it a day or two after, because that's another touch. It also means that you generally took the time to write something. They appreciate it and it won't get lost. Most of these recruiters would get 150 emails a day. So you're quick, oh, I'm just going to jet out a thank you, is disingenuous and doesn't really serve the purpose. So
no, that's true, Gina. In fact, and the one thing that I think we're talking about here, and I have the same conversation with my students all the time, because they're all looking for work, all looking for jobs. And in a past life, I was a recruiter. I worked in HR and I did a lot there. So I share some tips with them. And so it's not enough just for it to be maintenance, just to have that brief connection. You want it to be memorable, right? And so when Gina's talking about, and I give the exact same advice. So it is considered old school, but what sets you apart these days, right?
good point.
The text, the email? No, something like a handwritten note, that's memorable. Someone sees that and they think about that. Think about that with your customers as well. That's memorable. Everyone's used to getting so many things that are, we get blasted by spam and this, that, and the other thing. And again, we know it's kind of like the coin of the realm these days. Everyone's using it. But what can you do to set yourself apart? And again, personalized messages, making those connections. Like Gina said, when I worked at the chamber, when I heard of someone accomplishing something, they received a reward, they got a contract, I would send a quick note to them. Hey, heard the great news, congratulations, let's get together for coffee sometime, right? Those are those opportunities to connect. And that's how you maintain your network. Building a network takes a lot of time. Maintaining a network doesn't take as much time, but many times that's where people fall down. They'll have built a network, but they don't put in the effort to continue to maintain it. So we could spend the rest of the session, I know, just on this topic. I know there's some other things to discuss today. Thanks for the opportunity to talk, everyone.
Yeah, this is great, Chris, and it's really good information. It's good advice. And I would encourage all of you. In fact, believe it or not, I keep thank you cards. I keep blank notes in the office with postage. So I'm prepared when I see something where someone has been awarded or a promotion or something. I'm just prepared. I don't have to take the time. So the dollar store, they have great cards, 2 for $1. I buy up a bunch of them. I have a roll of postage and I'm ready to go. And people very often are so appreciative to get something in the mail. They just love that because we don't do it very much anymore. So very good advice. Thank you. All right, so I got to share. Something happened here. All right. Come on. All right. let's see, there we go. Okay, so, let me back up. So one of the other, now what we've been talking about are the resources of, people resources, your accountants, bankers, other business owners in your industry, consultants, digital experts, e-commerce experts, engineers, financial planners, graphic designers, lawyers, marketing experts, printers, like someone that can print your business cards, writers, and so on. You want to fill up your network with these people. So people resources are really important. Backing up to one other resource here is the Business Express website with New York State. They have a terrific, in this area that you can click on, is a starter guide where it takes you through questions to help you identify what kind of entity I want to be. What are some of the things I need to know about business planning? So don't miss out on this one. This is Business Made Easy through New York State. It is the Business Express New York government website. So I would encourage you, and when you get the slides, you'll have all the URL addresses for this. So we talked about your people and your networks. And so now so those resources, those are kind of the top 10 that I think if you start with that and you'll add your own as you go along. And people who you connect with and network with will talk to you also about what's needed in terms of starting a business when it comes to money and funding. All right, because this is an area that people really don't have a lot of information or think about when they're starting a business. So in talking about business funding, you have questions that you need to ask. How much funding do you need? When I ask this question of clients, more times than not, they say, I don't know, I'm not really sure. Why aren't you sure? Did you make a list of the inventory you want? Did you price it out? Did you get online and figure out who you can buy it from? If you're doing a service business, do you need a website? How much is that going to cost you to get somebody to put it up? How much is it going to cost you a month? You need to know how much funding you think you're going to need to start and capitalize your business. And to get that money, can you liquidate some assets to fund the business? So if you have certificate of deposits or you have a savings account that you can set aside for that purpose. If it's joint with someone, you really need to ask the wife if it's okay to use the money for that, because that doesn't go well for you when she didn't know you were using it for that, or vice versa with the husband. When did you last check your credit report? Mina touched on this. And I'm talking about your FICO score, not Credit Karma with a Vantage score. You need to know what your FICO, Fair Isaacs credit reporting score is. And under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is a federal act, every person is entitled to one credit report free per year. And if you receive a letter of declination, you applied for a loan and they declined, that letter of declination is proof that you want to know why, what was showing up on your credit report at that time, and they have to give you the credit report that was used. The bank cannot give it to you because they're not a credit reporting agency. Okay, so it's important to understand that getting your credit report is your right to have that. Then what banking relationships do you already have? Who could you do? If you're going to try for a business commercial loan, who do you have relationships with now? Having a conversation with a commercial lender, what's your portfolio look like? Is this something you think the bank would be interested in investing in? And so on. Have you prepared financials or done at least a little bit of preliminary work in what your revenue could be for 3 to 5 years? Now, the SBDC, we help our clients with this. We have some great tools that get us the 3 to 5 year work that needs to be done in terms of projecting. And those projections begin with a good list of assumptions. What are the assumptions based on? They're based on marketing research. Where can I get marketing research? The Business Insight Center and the SBDC. You see how it all comes together? You have to know the answers to these questions, or at least educate yourself on them to some degree. And have you thought about why your business would be a good investment? If you're going to ask people to invest, so let's say you go to Kiva, you want a $5,000 loan, all right, and you start going to family members. Think first, why would they invest in this? Are they behind it? Do they think it's a good idea? are you open to feedback? All right, because if someone is a little bit wiser and they said, well, I really think you need to massage this a little bit because this has been done and redone, and maybe you need a different take on it or something very specific. Okay, and I think that those are important questions. Be like a sponge. Listen to what people are giving you in terms of feedback, take notes, discern what they're telling you, so that when you finally put it together, write the plan, get the money, and you're ready to launch, you've now done enough discernment and investigation and ability to know what you're stepping into to head toward a more successful jumping off into that business. So next, I want to take a look. So what, how, this is a lot of information. Where do I begin? What can I do? So this checklist is from handmade.com. It is a pretty good checklist to start with in terms of, creating your business planning binder, which is a great piece of advice. Everything should go in there. Writing your mission statement. Why am I doing this? I'm going to put myself through 60 to 80 hours a week. I'm going to work really hard to get this thing off the ground. What's my mission? Why am I doing this? Choose a name for your business. And that's something that isn't relevant to what you're doing. Some of the best names I like are things like Mike's Bike Shop. What does Mike do? He has a bike shop. What does he do? He sells bikes. It's easy to know, right? Back in the early 80s, when a lot of the medical online software was coming out, I had a client who started a medical billing company. In other words, she sold the software for medical billing, and she was having a terrible time coming up with a name. And she finally called it TDH Medical Systems, Inc. And I said, well, what's TDH stand for? She said, Tom, Dick, and Harry. She literally couldn't think of something to use. So be thoughtful about that. If you're doing sun-dried tomatoes, maybe it's Soleil tomatoes, something that's relevant. Estimating your startup costs, research the target market. This is a great checklist. It breaks it down from business planning, development, brand development. What would your logo look like? And you don't have to spend $1 bazillion on a logo. One of the best resources is Fiverr.com. That's Fiverr.com. They can do some terrific work. I have a little side thing that I did. I'm diabetic, so working on plant-based type recipes and things, I called it Type 2 Foods. And this is the logo that they made for me. It's vegetables. Type 2 Foods is spelled out with vegetables. And I paid $52 for that logo on Fiverr with a watercolor artist who was just getting started and trying to build her portfolio. So Fiverr.com is another great resource to help with logo design, creating and ordering your business cards. So if you get the logo done and you're going to get on Uprinting or Vistaprint or using a local printer to do your business cards, this is in that order. Launching your website, getting a good website designer. So the brand development is really important as well. Product development, if you're putting something that you're going to make, is important. And then the marketing strategy, creating your marketing plan. Marketing is key. It's all about marketing, making sure that you get your message out there, that you're inviting people to come and try what you have. And there it is again, joining networking groups, create and build an email list for things like Constant Contact. MailChimp.com is another great one. They give you up to 3,500 emails that you can use for free before you have to pay for a subscription. And blog posting. How are you going to stay in front of people? This is a really good checklist to get started. And we also have resources at the Small Business Development Center. We have a booklet that's called The Blueprint to Success, which has lots of information about everything from a business plan template up to things like your taxes. On page 67 of that publication begins the conversation about sales tax, self-employment tax, and everything related to that. So this checklist, I think, would be a good start for you. And since you're getting the slides, you could begin with this. And then talking about all of this it's overwhelming. So you have to break it down. I invite people to create one section of their home or apartment or wherever you're living to create what I call the launch room. It's going to be everything related to getting that business up. And in some cases, I've seen clients paint one entire wall with the whiteboard paint. And that one room is everything related to that business startup. And they build a timeline, they put up Post-it notes, they, they use that wall to be a visual reminder to keep you on task. It's really easy to get off task and distracted when you're starting a business because there is so much out there that you can get distracted by. So structuring a timeline for launch, have a beginning, know when you're going to launch and how things proceed from there. I had a client once in Syracuse that I worked with for 2 years because she had to, I call it aiming, all of these things that she would do. Well, now I have to work, redo the logo. I don't quite like, and she'd keep changing reasons why she couldn't launch. She never pulled the trigger. Be committed. You can massage as you go along. It's not going to be perfect the first time, but if you're going to jump off right, if you're going to get into business, then you have to have something that's holding you accountable, and a timeline is a good way to get that started. So while I'm wrapping up the presentation here, this is not the end, but rather just the beginning of your journey for jumping off right into your own small business. That path is full of potholes and twists and turns and challenges. But if you follow the resources we have, leverage those resources to help you, the journey will go much easier. And with that, I thank you for being with us today. Are there any questions, Jen?
Yeah, we had a question from Dahlia. What website had the startup checklist?
That was, I think it's called Handmade, HANDMA, handmadebusiness.com. I can look it up and send it to you, Jen, when you send out the, the slides.
Okay, and then we
Just,
had, let's see. Bibiana wanted you to go back to the slide on people resources, I believe. Yeah, could you please show us the people resource slide?
I'm trying. For some reason, it's not going again. Was it the list of people that you needed?
Bibiana, you want to unmute yourself and let us know specifically?
Yes, I believe that it was the list. I think you were going through the different professionals that we may need to help us get our business started. You started mentioning like maybe an attorney, and I think you had a list, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
do. I'm trying to get there, but it's not working again for some reason.
Yeah, it will be on your PowerPoint when that's sent out. So
Yeah,
if we
definitely.
can't find it right now, you'll definitely have that information in the near future.
So it was things like your accountant or bookkeeper, you might want to get someone, bankers, getting relationships with bankers. And I know that, very often like the chambers or even SBA will have an event where all the lenders show up and you can just come and talk with all of them, having them all in one place. Other business owners was on the list so that you could find people that are in similar or same types of businesses to find. Good example. I have a client right now who's going to be opening up a wine store and wine tasting combined venue. And he managed to find someone in Massachusetts that's doing exactly the same thing, who has given him great insight and great information about things to avoid, things you should pay more attention to. And it's been a great relationship so that he can be successful as that particular business in Massachusetts was successful. Consultants, digital experts that can help with setting up your digital presence online, e-commerce. So, website development and e-commerce website. If you're building a building or something to that extent, engineers are really good people to have on that list. Financial planners, maybe that talk to you about how you can liquidate assets or the best way to approach it with your existing portfolio. What would be the best approach? So a financial planner can help. Graphic designers, like on fiverr.com are good. Lawyers. So if you are getting, a lot of people use a lawyer to file their limited liability company or their corporations. Corporations are more complex. So an attorney helping you with that is definitely worthwhile. Local printers, people who own property, things of that sort. So I think that that list, you will get that list because it is in the PowerPoint. And
Do we have a topic for June's program yet?
not at this time, but I'm hoping within the next week or so, we'll know what that is.
Okay, so everyone just keep in mind that we do have a summer hiatus. So our June program will be the last program of this season. And then we start up again in September. So hopefully we'll have that topic very soon. So you guys can register for that. Any final questions for any of our speakers?
If not, Jen, I have one more comment I'd like to make.
Mhm.
So the SBDC at Brockport here is so pleased to welcome Dr. Chance Miles, who's our new regional director. Jan Pizanchen had retired back in November, and we've now completed a search, and Chance is online. And just want to let you know that we've got new leadership with new ideas. Chance, are you able to join us for a comment or two? I see that you're here.
Yes, I am here. Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. Great to meet everyone. Some people I already know from, my prior life experience. So just want to say thank you. Look forward to working with you all and, taking SBDC to the next level.
Fantastic. We're happy to have you here too. Thank you.
We do have a question about mentoring. Is there a mentorship network that you know of?
Yeah, SBA has SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives. A SCORE mentor can certainly help you in conjunction with other resources. It's not either or, it's and. So if you contact the SBA office, they can help you link up with a SCORE advisor, hopefully someone has been in the industry that you're hoping to get into.
You guys
Well,
are.
and
you guys-
Gina, yeah, thanks, Jen. I was actually going to offer, and certainly that's a role SBDC plays as well. As we advise and counsel clients, many times there is a little bit of that mentoring element of it. But again, it's part of building your network, like we spoke about. Don't settle just for one. Try to get a few folks to help you.
Are you guys still located in the MCC building?
Yes, until June 2nd. Then we're moving to the Rochester Opportunity Educational Center.
Oh, yeah, that's right. REOC. Yep.
Our EOC, Rochester
Yep.
Educational
So
Opportunity.
they'll
Yeah.
be right next door to us, pretty much.
Yeah,
So-
and it's great because the Attain Lab is in there, and hopefully we'll be able to get more clients over there, which is a great resource as well, provided by the state.
Cool. So Tara, you can, I'm not sure, Monroe Community College Damon campus, but again, they're moving in a month. So, let's see.
Yeah, we don't have a presence at the Damon campus, just downtown.
It's 161 Chestnut is going to be the new address.
Fifth floor.
161 Chestnut. Fifth floor?
Fifth floor. Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Mina. Thanks,
care.
everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.